Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, logos means a study or science. Sattology means a science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means a science of fake lie imagination or study of fake lie imagination. Today we are discussing a very, very important topic and we are going to connect globally the rights of farmers all over the world. And I have very, very special guest and author of many, many books, Dr. Ratan Sharda. Without delay, let us welcome.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Ratanji, you are so famous all over the media. It is difficult
Is
for
it?
me to say which topics you can
That's
say
new to me.
very well. Huh?
That's news to me.
No, if people see you all over the place, everywhere. You're on one or the other TV shows. So one important thing is, like, for example, when we talk about the farm laws in the US, first of all, in 350 million Americans, 6 million are farmers, which is approximately 2% or 2% of the people. In India or any other country of the world, most of the countries of the world are agricultural based. Generally, the farmers' population is 30 to 40%. That's considered healthy. So the laws in the United States are definitely geared towards getting the best value to a very small population of growers of food in this country, and most of the country food is important. In the case of India, in the farm laws are also geared in the similar model to get the maximum benefit to the lowest, like the individual farmer. So what do you see the entire farming laws and the issues in India from your perspective?
Aditya, thank you so much. Farm laws have made a lot of noise and a lot of sound across the world because of media, because of the solid network of left and the so-called liberals. Without actually getting to the specifics, you talked about the US and India. There is no comparison. In US, the farm holdings are very, very large in terms of hundreds of acres, in fact, thousands of acres. So you have less people and you have got more farmland with them. But in India, the sub-marginal farmers, which is less than 1 acre, there are 40% such farmers. Marginal farmers, less than 1 acre to 2.5 acres is 20.5% farmers, which total makes 60.5% farmers holding 16.93, let us say 17% of the land. Large holdings by Indian standards, not by US standards, 15-acre plus, because you have land ceiling and that was brought in by the socialist government. The number of people holding such farm size is just 2.62%, who hold 26.67% of the land. When you compare the size, the majority of Indian farmers are on the marginal side, who just sell a little of their produce. 60% of them, which is surplus, otherwise it's a subsistence farming. Only other 40% can actually make some profit or sell some grains outside their own requirement, which is very different from US. In US, if you look at, you have got 5.5% of the US economy, which has got agriculture income, part of the economy. In India, it is 20% of the total GDP these days. On this year, it was 17.8. It has increased to 20.2 after nearly 20 years this year. So you find that our labor, as I said, 40.42% of our labor subsides on the farmer doing farming, and in US it is not more than 11%. And as I said, GDP is a major section, despite the proverb that a developed economy is one where the number of people depending on agriculture should be very low and should not have a major role in the total GDP or national economy. So if you look at these kind of issues, you'll find that the issues faced by the Indian farmers vis-a-vis the US farmers or Canadian farmers are very different. In India, we have got something called mandi system, which is a farm producing, let us say, a market for one district. So person of that district cannot sell outside the district. These marketplaces or mandis are controlled by a few Either they are bureaucrats or they are the local politicians, and they control and the entire district. So even if I'm just 2 miles away from the border of the district, I cannot go to the next door district, which is closer to me, but I have to go to my own district place where I can only where I can sell. So farmer, whether he has got 1 ton of spare food grain or 10 tons, the farmer has to travel all the way to the place where it is sold. And monopoly is so oppressive. I'll just give you a couple of examples. In November 2021, a Pune farmer sold 370 kg of tomato. He got a billing of rupees 1,332. You can convert about $20 or so. But finally, after deducting all the charges, all he got was 1 rupee. Similarly, in February 21, in an APMC market in UP, he was offered 1 rupee per kg for his produce, which he had got in tractor, and he just threw it away. Just two examples to tell you how oppressive the system is, because the farmer has nowhere to go. The first thing that the farmer bill was to allow the farmer to sell anywhere. Now, people say it will be the monopolies will take over, the big business will take over, and they give example of US also. But point today is that even now today there is a monopoly which is controlled directly or indirectly by local goons or local forces. So where does farmer go? In Punjab, where we have biggest agitation, they started contract farming nearly a decade or more than back, with Pepsi coming in, and they are making good money. They have changed the crop patterns, and they are happy. But in that particular law of contract farming, there is a provision of even 5 years imprisonment if you don't follow the contract rules. But in the new bill, they were not allowed any kind of penalty. There were no clause for attaching the land of the farmer, but somehow misinformation kept on growing. And then another very outdated law, which was the essential commodities law, by which it was meant that if you hold a certain amount of grain or pulse more than what is supposed to be as per law, you can be arrested. Now, this was when there was food shortage, when we used to import good or bad kind of grain and pulses from US or Canada, etc. Now we are surplus economy as far as grains are concerned. We import pulses, we import edible oil. Again, because of wrong crop patterns, because of policies that we have been following so far, farmers see no incentive in moving their own agriculture pattern to the requirement of the market. Despite this, the production of pulses in India after coming of this government has grown from 18.34 metric ton to 25.72 metric ton. Same thing can be done with edible oil. So the farmers are given the right path, they are given the right way to store. Now we cannot do much food processing. There is just 5% food processing. I do not know US figures, they're very big. And 40% of the fruits and vegetables go waste because there is no place to store them. And if you store more than so-called essential commodity act, you can be arrested. So you find why the grains rot, you find why the vegetables and fruits rot, you find why food processing is so low. So the farm law were actually progressive, and because government wanted to make farm produce organizations where small farmers could come together. In fact, there are hundreds of already FPOs, and they could bargain with the private parties, with other people, for food processing, for selling at a particular price in contract. But somehow, because of this, now these ideas have fallen apart. So we are moving from a low availability of pulses and grains to high availability where grains are in surplus, and we want to process it, and we want to see that farmers get better prices. They can move to more profitable avenues like pulses and oils. But because of strange law, the strange traditions where whatever farmer produce, and again, government picks up more from Punjab and Haryana as compared to all other districts, all other states, for historical reasons, because Punjab was the first to get into the green revolution. But now there are others who are doing better. And the efficiency of farmers in Punjab is growing down continuously. Their profitability is half of Tamil Nadu farmers who produce one third of what Punjab produces. Why? Because of wrong crop patterns, wrong habits. In Punjab, you got free water, free electricity. So because of the urge to grow more, you keep on adding pesticide, you keep on adding inorganic farms, and farmers end up with cancer. So there is a train which goes from a town called Bathinda to Rajasthan, Bikaner. which is called Cancer Express. Because the farmers who have been doing so much of pesticide and inorganic manure, etc., they sit in the train in the night, go there in the day, get themselves treated, come back, and this is the condition of health in Punjab. So we are basically looking at highly declining production compared to the prices they get and compared to effort they put in. So they need to change the crop pattern. In Haryana, they are offering incentive to change the crop pattern, but in Punjab, we are seeing that inertia because of landholding where they can easily sell whatever is coming, and that is also load on basically taxpayers. So these are issues which are very different from Canada. And Canada raised the objection in UN, when it said India is giving subsidy. What is the subsidy? 6,000 rupees per annum just before COVID. And what was the reason? To give some kind of support to farmer in the worst days. And they called it subsidy. What is the value of the subsidy? About $80 per annum. And Canada is giving huge subsidies to the farmers. In fact, the US subsidies, if you look at, in soya alone, in 2017, for the sale of 41.3 billion US dollars, US gave $1.6 billion as subsidy to farmers. I am just pointing out a few issues which will tell you why Indian agriculture needs to have different treatment, and the large farms owned by US or Canada need a different treatment, and where they are very different from the issues that are concerning the farmers.
You correctly said that the U.S. agricultural is highly subsidized. U.S. agriculture, Canadian agriculture, highly subsidized by the governments, and also the tax rebates that they get. Now, when these countries oppose Indian subsidies, you know, the obvious reason is from the foreign policy perspective, they want to sell their grains to India. Very clear
Yes.
objective they have, and also
As I
agricultural
pointed
too.
out, Canada, 95% of the Canadian pulse come to, I mean, Canada's export to India is 95% pulses. So because of this is the reason when the crop pattern changes and India wants to produce more pulses, Canada gets a fewer.
If you look at the agricultural workers in the US, they are mostly from Mexico and mostly from other countries. And is there an opportunity for Americans or India to supply the excess farm workers to the American farm? Because Indian farmers are naturally known to be organic.
In fact, India supplied some of the biggest farmers to US way back in 19th century.
That's right.
The six and who came to US are some of the largest farm holders in Canada and Punjab, as you know, and they were exported from India. We didn't export labor; we exported landlords.
I know that. I live in an area where we have maximum Punjabi farmland owners in the central California, as well as very close to my house, El Centro, where the large
See,
farm.
not only US, Punjabi farmers have moved to Rajasthan, they have moved to MP. They have got bigger farms and bigger incomes and doing much better than what the farmers in Punjab are shouting about.
So, do you think that the protests in India were largely political and funded, obviously, from financial interests from Canada and US?
See, there are, if you look at the protests were majorly concentrated in Punjab. A little fallout because Punjab and Haryana are basically same culture, same land divided by politics and some kind of linguistic issues, nothing major. But they were divided during Punjabi Subha days. So basically, same habits. All Haryana has, in fact, poorer arable land compared to Punjab because of lack of irrigation. But there were some agitations there. There were some later some agitation has started in western part of UP, which again is a rich belt. Apart from that, there was no agitation. If you look at the population of farmers, which I said 42% of the total labor force, there was no other protest in many states. Farmers welcomed it, but naturally those who welcomed it had time to go and stand on the streets. So this was highly motivated campaign from a few pockets. And because, as I said, there is a very strong nexus between what is called Adatiya or the commission agents, who make, even if you have 2.5% commission, it comes to about 3,300 crores or 3,300,000 US dollars, if I am not correct in the figures. If this is the figure, then naturally their vested interest, if their commission was going and their hold on the farmers was going, naturally they were worried. And these generally belong to strong political parties with strong affiliations. So naturally, political parties, they were in cahoots. Farmers were fed with the wrong information continuously. Especially in Punjab, surprisingly, as I said, there is also already a contract farming going on with the companies like Pepsi and many other, where crop patterns are changed, farmers are making better money, though the laws are very harsh. For them to raise the red flag about contract farming was very strange, because in this contract farming, as I said, there was no compulsion, there was no separation of land from the farmer. They could not pledge it to the company at all, nor could they be sent to jail. Despite this, there was a hue and cry that big companies will come and take over, etc. But there could be some check and balances, that a particular company may not lift more than X value of grains or X value of pulses from that particular state, or even a mandi. That was not allowed. So as I said, farmer, they were ready, they pick up the goods, even FPOs pick up the goods from the gate of the farmer. But these people are expected to come to mandis. I gave the example when the guy got just 1 rupee, and one guy threw away the entire tractor there because he could not carry it back. If that is the situation and they are not even giving their remunerative prices, there is a serious issue why these people were on dharna. They talked of minimum support price (MSP), which is peculiar to India, which was started when India was short of shortage of grains and pulses. We were importing, so we needed this particular protection, because without which the farmer may suffer. But even today, farmer suffers in case of glut and also in case of shortage, because of local exploitation by the different people. But these checks balance could have been made. So at least farmer had a better option. Now today, farmer cannot export directly. Farmer cannot sell to another state where the prices are better. There were cases where Punjab farmers were getting. It was found when they weighed on the in the mandi that actually the beggars had come from UP, Bihar, where the price was low. So this kind of monopoly approach of the state, or people who are supposed to belong to state or the powerful lobbies, is what is actually stopping farmers from prospering. They need better guidance, the better crops. I talked about horrendous condition, health condition of farmers and of the land. In fact, there are reports that in another 20 years, Punjab may turn to a desert, because huge salination of land, and with water level going so deep, around 400 to 500 feet low, where you can actually get water for the pump. So these are the issues which are not being addressed at all, and shallow issues are being addressed. Yes, there are people who took advantage. There are people who have links with Khalistanis who got themselves inducted into the agitation. They created havoc there. Not farmers or Khalistani, but there are Khalistanis in the farmers, definitely. They raised different slogans. There were huge misinformation across Punjab, where hate was created against the Prime Minister, who has done much more for the farmers and Punjab itself, and Sikhs also, as compared to the PM. To give an example of what this government has done, even before this came, as per the National Commission of Farmers Swaminathan report, whatever they had recommended, what has been done? Farmers credit card has been issued, which was not done earlier. Soil health cards were issued, which was never done earlier, so they know what is the soil, what they can produce. Direct cash benefits via banks were given during COVID. Jandhan bank accounts were opened, through which all this transfer took place. So there are credit cards based on these banks. There was agriculture insurance which was not which was very conditional. Farmers hardly got benefit. That was increased hugely. Affordable health insurance, another demand from the commission, that was also fulfilled. And then there was price stabilization fund, because of the glut in the market and shortage. Sometimes prices fluctuate hugely. For the first time in 2014-15, there was a price stabilization fund which was supported, given to the state governments, for supporting the farmers in case of huge variation in the prices. These are things already done, and states are given in this particular scheme interest-free loans for the farmers. They could tide over the difficult times. And not only that, this particular stabilization fund was available in 2003 only for a few agriculture producers which are being exported. So this also was done. One condition of this commission was that agriculture should be brought under concurrent list. In India, we have got a state subjects, we have got central subjects, and there are concurrent lists where both state and center have a role to play. In case of agriculture, it is only state subject. Still, center takes a lot of interest and provides policies which can help farmers. But ask any state government, they will not allow to go on a concurrent list because of political interest. So there are a lot of political interests. Basically, these laws were also proposed by Congress party. Their prima donna of the opposition, Sharad Pawar, talked of this, or talked of getting the farmer free from the APMC grips and letting him live a better life and get better prices. But now, because of politics, all of them have moved, taken a U-turn and says bad for the health of the economy. Now, somebody say farmers, and somebody says that even private players should come to mandi. So farmer will keep on coming to mandi. He will keep on spending money to come to the market, and then they will have to pay the overhead also, which mandi charges or the market charges. They are talked about ultimately what the farmer gets. So this is nothing but politics, because these laws were exactly as they were presented in the Congress manifesto also, and even people like Sharad Pawar, when they were farmer, they were agriculture minister, he clearly said that we need to more of it. There are speeches by him where he said that we have to have the farm break away from this control of APMCs or agriculture markets.
Uh, You mentioned about the workers, farm workers being from states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and places where there are more help available. These kind of people. So the repealed farm laws. Now these farm laws have been repealed, and also there is a demand for minimum selling price. So do you think that repealing the laws and putting a demand for minimum MSP, minimum selling price, by the way, for viewers who do not know, 1 rupee is equal to $0.001. Okay, so which is that's why the farmers threw away the crops. So now, so do you think that is going to help, or that is going to be renegotiated?
See, one is MSP or minimum support price was never cancelled. It was not part of any law. It was administrative decision based on the prices of inputs of that particular year, where a committee decided what should be minimum support price. It has been nearly doubled as compared to the Congress days in this by this government during all these years, from 1,000 something to 1,800 something, let us say, for wheat, for example. So that is the kind of support price which is still being given, and still grains are being procured, and this would have continued, but it was not part of law ever. For last 75 years, it was not part of law. Now they wanted to part of the law because they're in opposition. Otherwise, the MSP would have continued. And second, you talk of labor. I think you talked about labor. Punjab farming is now majorly done by migrants from Bihar and UP, not by the local landlord. He hardly works. He sells the land. His sons send the land wherever they can, and they move to different parts of the world, whether it's New Zealand, Australia, or America or Canada, even any third world, some small nation of Europe, etc. But just want to move away. So you have strange situation where farms are being run by people from outside the state, and landlords are lording over that their money, where their new generation wants to go out of India. They sell the land. So it's a very peculiar situation, not very healthy situation. So MSP has nothing to do. And Modi has said, Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, said, we will bring the farm laws again, and we will have committed to look at all the clauses all over again. This was also proposed at the Supreme Court, and you will be surprised, Supreme Court committee gave a report in March 2021, which was never released. The Supreme Court had stopped so many things. It stopped the implementation of farm law. Government has stopped the implementation of farm law for 18 months. Still, the agitation continued. Now it has been repealed, but they will bring back the law after discussing with other people. Not only that, still the farm leaders want to continue because they want MSP part of the law, which never was. But MSP was always there. It's still going to be there. But by tying down private and public players both on MSP, it will force the companies, or even the stakeholders like farmers, going for unprofitable crops because there is purchase available, which may be not good for the health of the people or the government or the nation. But they want that comfort rather than trying to do something better, where they will earn more and nation will not depend on the imports of those pulses and grains. So these are issues that need to be discussed in a wider scope. But Farm Bill idea has not been given up. New committee will be formed and it will again be discussed.
Now, if you talk about the American celebrities like Rihanna and other people, a very uneducated lot, supporting the farm laws in India, and probably they have never grown a single tomato in their balconies as well, or their backyard. So, what is the viewpoint of the Indian External Affairs, like, or the Foreign Office of India, State Department of India, towards these kind of private individual concerns?
See, I think for Ministry of External Affairs to worry about those small time people, boys and girls who know nothing, ABCD of India, or even about the laws of India, or the lot of the Indian farmers. Those sit in Canada. The Prime Minister says that Indian laws are bad for farmers, government should consider, etc. Mr. Trudeau, he opposed India's not just farm laws, also subsidies, as I told you. So they will give subsidy to their farmers, but they will not allow India to give any kind of subsidy to their farmers. But they want the farm laws not to be implemented for the farmers. So basically, their interest is that their export should continue. So they will oppose anything which will increase the production of various agriculture products in India, which will make farmers stronger. So they will also misinform and they will also fight India for providing petty kind of subsidies like $80 per annum. And even in the case of minimum support price, it is much lesser than their assurance to the farmers for covering up their losses in case of any fall in prices, etc., both in Canada, US, etc. So they have a different rule book for themselves, but a different rule book for Indian farmers. That's the reason I first thing I did was give you the ratio of land holdings, which I think your Rihanna or XYZ have much more bigger land for their own house than compared to 60% of Indian farmers.
Well, Justin Trudeau is rejected in US as well as a comic figure. And so Canada is generally, I have a big joke, it's the 51st state of United States. So
And I would suggest all the Rihannas and Gretas to come to India, live in a village, see how a farmer lives, what kind of conditions he has to face, uncertain in case of who will buy, when will they buy, what they will get, as I told you, whether 1 rupee, 2 rupee, what they charge at the marketplace for 60 rupees or let us say $1 is sold in the retail for $2. Or sometimes $1 goes in the market as $10. So that is the inequity that the farmer faces today because of the vested interest. Then whom are they standing for? Why do they want the farmers to be stuck in a particular district with a particular price of that particular district, not go elsewhere to sell it? If there can be farmer produce organizations who can come together to have good amount of product which they can process or they can export, is not a very silly idea for us to have just 1% of grain rich food being processed, 5%, sorry.
yeah, it
I
is.
mean, with such a surplus where our grain gets rotted, they get rotten because there is not enough warehouse. Because if you want to create a warehouse, if you store your cotton under Essential Commodities Act, it's a vicious circle. Will the circle be broken or not? Why, unless there is good warehousing facility, where does farmer go? Whether fruits or vegetable or grains, where does he store it? If they can't store it, they have to throw it. If they store it, they got under the draconian law which was made in 1960s or maybe 50s.
So according to the latest US statistics, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, they are the biggest farmers in the United States by land holding. So Bill Gates owns almost 275,000 acres of land, and Jeff Bezos owns equally large. So do you think that this can be a major international ploy to control the food supply to the world?
Yes, definitely, because see, these people control the surplus. They have a huge interest in exporting the grains to developing countries, whether India or any other country. India at least has increases production to an extent where they are self-reliant now. They can live without them. Another 5 years, they can take over from the edible oils or other fields. Even in pulses, etc. If they are allowed to, bring up new ideas to the farmers rather than vested interest, then that is the problem. As I said, billions of dollars of grains are being exported by these countries, and they have, in fact, they have got cattle farms which create more global warming than anything else. But we have people eating beef steaks and telling us what India farmers should produce, who is just who majority is living on subsistence farming.
So one of the major problems in the United States of the soil erosion is happening in the US also is the GMO crops, particularly in the cotton area. Cotton is the highest, and the corn. Cotton and the corn have the highest percentage of GMOs. And also most of the seeds available in the United States, they are GMO compliant. GMO compliant means that Bayer, the German firm, owns Monsanto, and Monsanto is the one who is producing. Now, Indian farming is mostly organic, 90% organic. 10% GMO only, especially in the cotton areas. Do you think that there are laws coming up, or there should be laws to completely remove the remaining 10% also?
There is a very strong opposition to introduction of more GMO seeds. In fact, even the seeds which are not GMO but which are controlled by the Monsanto, where you have to buy seeds every year. In India, farmers used to store the seeds, make their own seeds, so they were not losing their money on the purchase of seeds itself, which is happening now, especially as in case of cotton. But otherwise, there is a very strong lobby which is opposed to these GM seeds or GM crops. So there is a resistance. That is the reason why it is not increasing in India the way the foreign companies would like it to be. And slowly, Indian farmers are returning to organic farming. Though, as I said, the major pockets, especially in grains, are using a lot of inorganic fertilizers and pesticides, etc. There is not, you can't say that we are into organic farming and we are going back to organic farming. And the tragedy is that we were given to this kind of farming of artificial agriculture, etc., artificial inputs to increase the production, and that is the reason we have got various sicknesses of the farm, of the agriculture produce. But look at the entire cycle. The Western civilization went into farming much later. The modern civilization, which came up with the artificial fertilizers and seeds, etc., is hardly 200, 300-year old, at the most 200, I think. Their lands are already turning saline. There is already soil erosion. But India, before it went into this huge cycle of fertilizers and urea and all that, it is farming for more than 6,000 recorded years. I cannot go back to more than that because recorded at least 6,000 years we are doing agriculture. But the land never went saline, land never went unproductive. Land was productive, people served land. It became a food shortage area after British took away all the farming, destroyed farming, and destroyed the natural way of organic farming that India did. And that is the reason India has gone to the cycle and it will come out of the cycle as moves to organic farming in a much better way. But this was thrown into India. So compare this agriculture practice of India of 6,000 years where the agriculture is still going on in the same areas where it was going on 6,000 years back, most of it, except the Saraswati Valley, Indus Valley area where there was rivers lost, dried up because of earthquake, etc. Compared to the new methods of agriculture where lands are going saline, lands are going waste within 200 years. So which is better system? We'll have to move back into organic farming. Having taught us, now they want organic foods from us.
You
So
know,
they
if
want
the,
us to do organic farming.
if the Americans really want to control the climate, they have to first close down all the slaughterhouses,
Yes.
which are the biggest causes of climate heating up, the planet heating up. Thus, the in India, the one of the things which is also coming up is the automation of the farms, which is itself an anti-organic movement, because the animals, farm animals, have been known to preserve the quality of the soil. So, do you think there's a movement going on in that direction also?
There is. In fact, I was reading about a gentleman he was a very successful diamond merchant. He left everything and started nurturing Indian breed cows, which have many good qualities. I'll not get into that. That's a separate area of discussion itself. Now they are producing manure. They are producing special agriculture, fertilizer surplus, uh, additional agriculture fertilizers through organic means from the same cow products, and they are very successfully giving these to farmers. At least a lakh farmers, but 100,000 farmers have adopted it and getting better produce without any pesticide, no issues of worms, etc. There are many other people in the field who are trying to get into proper Vedic style of farming with organic methodology, and they are getting very good results. It will take time, as I said, if the politics plays the game for a place like Punjab, which was number one at one time. Today, in terms of economy, it's about 30, number ranked 13 now because of bad farming practices, because of bad laws. Then you can imagine how they will come to this stage where it is okay, we're giving up all this and going for this kind of farming. But the movement is on, definitely. There are people who have dedicated their lives to this. There are people who are propagating in a big way. And this is a movement which will take a little time. But for this, we have to move above politics. We have to go away from politics.
Yeah, I think the common sense needs to play a bigger role in many of these things. The last question on this series is in the farm laws, which we already spoke about, and we also spoke what are the improvements which are already being discussed. Now, there is one fear for the American politicians and other people because they are dependent on this group of agriculture people in the business of agriculture from Punjab. They are putting the maximum pressure on both sides of the aisle, both Democrats as well as Republicans, to question India on the farm laws with no understanding of it. Now, the given the Indo-US relations, which are pretty close, do you think there is a chance of negotiation, or United States will oppose internationally India in the farm laws? What is your view on that?
So far, what I have seen is that US has not taken any interest, has not shown any government level interference in the Indian laws or Indian governance, and that is the right way. So they have kept away from it. There may be a few politicians who may be parroting the lines given to them by the farmers who are never going to return to India, who are enjoying their life in US. For them to talk about farming laws in India, which doesn't concern them because they left all of them and came to USA, and whose sons and daughters are never going to return to India. They may be persuading a couple of congressmen to make statements, but at the government level, I don't think US has given any statement regarding this issue. Only Canadian PM made some silly remarks without understanding what he's saying, but America has not done it. So I don't think that is going to be a concern as far as Indian Indo-US relations are concerned. US government is much more closer to reality, much more intelligent. I don't think they will get into this.
Uh, Thank you so much, Ratanji. You have
You're
you
most
can speak
welcome.
on many topics, and you have certainly thrown light on this one, and it clarifies most of the people's doubts, especially young people who are watching this show right now. So, thank you and namaste.
Thank you. Namaskar.